Hey friend, grab your Dunkin' because I need to ask you a question. So, what do you do if you are feeling stuck at your job? Because that is where I'm currently at in life. And let me explain real quick. Let me take a little sip. Um, ooh, I'm ready. All right. But no, on a more serious note, what do you do when you are feeling stuck at your job? So, in one of my previous videos, I explained how I got a demotion at work. Well, I didn't get a demotion at work. I asked for it because I was having troubles with my OM, and we were not seeing eye to eye on problem solutions. And I have a boundary of people speaking to me a certain way when I am at my place of work. So I asked for a demotion, right? Currently, though, in my role, I am still teaching. I'm not teaching my replacement how to do my job. I was like, I still have my team, well, the little bit of team that's still there. I'm still teaching them. They're still coming up to me, asking me for questions and guidance and things like that. And it's hard because I now have to be like, hey team, that's not my position anymore. I do not get paid to do that. You have to go to your respective management for all of these questions and to get the answers. And if they don't know, well, at this point they have to figure it out. I was I was talking to one of my other coworkers because I was just one of the best parts about being in leadership really was my team. My team made it worthwhile coming into work every day. And as crazy as it sounds, I tell everyone this. I said, I don't own anything at work. I don't own any stocks in the company. My personal business isn't operating through the company. I was like, I own none of this product. None of this product is coming out of my paycheck. I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, I'm here to do a service and then go home. I was like, that's why I'm so comfortable taking a demotion. I said, I know what my job is supposed to be serving me. And I think I've talked about it on this channel as well. I was like, guys, when you go to work, know what you're going to work for. If you're going to work just so that you can fund that vacation, that's why you at work. If you're going to work because you need your paycheck to feed your kids, that's why you going to work. If you're going to work because you need a social life, well, that's why you going to work. But understand what your job provides you and what you need out of your job. And always try to have a work-life balance. That's very, very important. But also, another side note, also know that, and I tell my team this, and I try to tell anyone who's working for someone or who is a W-2 employee or anything like that. I said, you still work for a business. I said, you are providing that business with a service. So I was like, if you have some kind of issue, if you have some kind of complaint, you complain. I said, you go to your manager, you go to your upper leadership, and you say, hey, look, this is what's going on. I said, their job as leadership is to make sure that your job is easy as possible and that you get your job done as effectively and as efficiently as possible. So if those two things are not being met, you go and you yell at your manager and say, I cannot do my job. It is literally their job to make sure that your job is easy so that you can do it to make more profit for the business. It is a service, friend. You are providing your knowledge, your skills, and your labor, which is your body, to the company. It is a service. It works both ways. So if something is not working for you, you go and let somebody know what is and what is not working for you. But I digress. Back to the demotion and where I'm currently at. So where I'm currently at is just money. As you know on this channel, I was like, I am homeless, and I'm homeless to reduce the amount of money I'm spending on bills so that I can put it towards debt, so that I can become debt free, and so that I can start putting these monies, all this financial knowledge into things like stocks, owning assets, buying businesses, going into joint ventures with other business owners, really making my money work for itself, right? Money can make money. You don't really, I won't say that you don't need to, because it's still a skill that you have to learn, but money makes money. And eventually I want to get to the point where I don't have to use my physical labor. I don't want to have to use my body to get money. So that is where I'm currently at. But because of this demotion, I am now making less monies, which I was like, a part of me is fine. It's just, it's going to now take a little bit longer to complete my plan. But where I'm at is feeling stuck because I could now take this knowledge. I could now take the title, the experience, and the time, and the references, and go get another good, high-paying job, right? But the problem with that is that I will be losing out on like a lot of the things that I have now working with this particular company. Just the security part of it, I was like, I sleep at work, and I was like, that is a great benefit for me. I was like, I get to use the bathrooms at the place that I work now for free at any time that I need to. I was like, my car, I was just like, everything is close and around, so it was like, I don't have to spend much on gas. I was like, I don't have to put more wear and tear on my car that's already going down. So I was like, there's so many benefits to working where I'm at now. But the money, I was like, the money, and also just like the stress of it. I was like, at least now, if I do leave and I get another job, not only will I be getting more money, but I was like, new experiences, right? New chances to meet people, new opportunities to get into new things. So it's really, I have a lot of like pros and cons to weigh out about leaving. But then like another part of me is like, I started out on this journey, and the one thing I said was just like, I wanted the job that I'm currently at to be my last warehouse job. I was telling my managers when they offered me the supervisor position, I was telling them how I worked in this industry, in this field, in logistics, for going on 12 years. I've been working in logistics since I was 19. I'm 30 now, honey. And I haven't gotten anywhere. So I was just like, I really made a vow to myself. I was like, I really want this job. Even though when I first started there, it was very low paying. I was making $16 an hour, but it was easy. I wasn't breaking my back. I wasn't killing myself. I wasn't working in the freezer. I didn't have my management down my back every 3 seconds. Like, they weren't like super tight with their production numbers. And I was like, this is exactly what I want. I was like, granted, the pay isn't great, but I was just like, I come to work, I do my job, and I go home. No one bothers me. The work is easy. I said, by the time I get even like halfway through, or like until I get into a flow state, I was like, the day is already over. And I love that. I go to work, I put my head down, and by the time I put my head back up, it's time to go home, and then I can get back to talking to you guys. I can get back to singing, I can get back to studying, I can get back to exploring life. And I was like, that's what I want so bad. That's what I want so very bad. But like, I also set out for this to be my last warehouse job. I was like, if I get another job, I want to be out of the logistics field, and or I want to be strictly in management for logistics. I want to be the one calling the shots. I want to be the one behind the desk. I want to be the one talking to the clients, getting contracts filled out. I was like, I just do not want to be using my body for labor anymore. I was like, I'm getting older, and eventually I'm not going to be able to do it. There is going to come a time where I get to the point and I get too old, and I'm not going to be able to pick up those 50-pound boxes. I'm not going to be able to stand on my feet for 8 to 12 hours a day. I'm not going to be able to run after these trucks and unload and reload trucks and move pallets across the warehouse floor. There is going to come a time when I'm just physically not going to be able to do that, right? So, like, right now I'm grateful and I'm mindful that I can still do that. I was like, yes, I am 30, but that doesn't mean like I'm old and dried up and tired, honey. I said, we still got some vitality in us. All right, shaky, 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 a little help with Duncan, we get there. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm currently stuck between the plan that I made, which was to stay at work until we are currently out of debt, or leave work to make more money to get out of debt faster. And another, I want to say like another added point to this, like another thing for the pros and cons list is that, like, and I know I've said it on the channel before, and I'm probably going to keep restating it, but what I often tell people is, like, you have to understand how to manage your money when you have a little bit of it first. I was like, if you know what to do with a little bit of money, then when you get a lot of money, it's not going to be hard. Because I don't think people take the time to realize that managing large amounts of money is actually really, really difficult. And not only is that difficult, once you get other people involved in helping you manage your money, which at some point I highly suggest that friends, when you do come in contact with your large amounts of money, because I know that you will, the fact that you are here listening to me ramble about finances tells me that you are ready for this change. But yeah, once you get your large amount of money, you're gonna need CPAs, you're gonna need accountants, you're gonna need someone to help you budget and manage your money and understand where you're spending your money at. That's why you have that's why companies and business have whole financial fields and departments. You have a whole department, you have a whole group of people dedicated to financing. It's not easy financing a lot of money, but you also have to get people who you can trust. Get people who you know you can trust, because money, I don't want to say it changes people, because I don't believe it changes people. I think it shows people their true nature. I think it reveals people's true nature, especially with large amounts of money. It really does reveal people's, like, true nature and their true intent. So, like, definitely also be careful with who you allow to be on your team, who you go into these joint ventures with. Like, do your research, do your due diligence, ask questions. Oh my God. And don't beat around the bush trying to ask little cutesy pootsy questions. When it comes to your money, ask every hard question. Ask all the uncomfortable questions. Ask them all. Write them down, honey. Do not be afraid to ask, because it's your money. And at the end of the day, I was like, your money is not only going to affect you, especially when you have lots of it. It's not only going to affect you, but it's going to affect the people that you pay, your employees. And then it's going to affect their families. And then it's going to affect the transportation, because then you have to hire other things. Maybe it's going to affect the contractor. It's going to affect your electrician. It's going to affect your property manager. It's going to, the list goes on. But it does not just affect you if you do not manage your money correctly. Okay? But yeah, no, that is where I am currently at. Like, my little tangent. I'm like, a part of me really just wants to stick to my plan. I said to myself, I was like, this is going to be my last warehouse job. I said I was going to make a plan and I was going to stick to it. But also, life is lifing. Also, I gotta get used to talking for long periods of time out loud. Oh my goodness, which comes back down to, like, my vocal techniques, which is a whole different video I'll make on that. It sucks. I do not talk enough out loud, and then when I do talk out loud for long periods of time, I either A, stumble on my words, or B, get very, very hoarse, which is because I'm not supporting my voice. Thank God for Dunkin'. A little sip of coffee keeps me going. But yeah, no, that's what I'm currently at. Is just like, do I stick to my plan? Do I stick to my guns? Do I ride out the wave? Do I just roll with the punches of life, right? Or do I pack up my bags and do I try again? Do I start all over? Do I, go into the unknown? Because I often say, like, being uncomfortable is the fastest way to grow, right? And I'm honest to God, I believe that being uncomfortable is the fastest way to grow. But also, like, dang, I really want to be dedicated to the plan that I made. I want to see it through. It has not completely fallen apart. To be honest, it hasn't fallen apart at all. It's just a little bit of a detour, a little bit of a bump. And I don't want this little bump to like take everything out. But yeah, that's what I'm currently at. So let me know, like, what do you do when you get like a feeling that you are stuck at work? Do you stay? Do you ride it out? Do you look for other work? Like, what do you do when work is just kind of like, you kind of just over it, honey? Like, look, it is just, you just done. You go in there, you miserable. People asking you what's wrong. You're like, don't talk to me. Let me do my job and go home. What do you do in these kind of situations? I would really like to know, friend. But until next time, of course, you got this, I got this, we got this, and I will talk to you all later, friends. Sip your Dunkin', and I will talk to you all later. Bye, guys.